Actually, they are doing that that duty, and also like the Professor Bhatt, I think, who has great enthusiasm to revive Indian culture. I think such people should come together and discuss these things and give this message to the modern society.
And for others as well, because India is a land of dharma where moral obligations are always superior than any written or any legal format or any legal regime. And that is the basic moral leverage we have across the globe. Uh, we have, as Suman Balaji has rightly mentioned, through COVID vaccine, India has followed the dharma under the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So we are nurturing and protecting our own citizen, as well as even this hardship, we are giving this life-saving back to our neighbors, and almost 90 countries are in the queue, and we have assured that everybody will get the time will come. So this is big contribution. So given the prevailing system of coronavirus, it is very tough to support others when India has already 130 crore population, and we have already a very different situation. Somehow it is under control now. One of the more important contribution which our dharma and our whole concept of Hindu religiosity has contributed is duty-bound approach of human right, which I understand as a student of politics. It is one of the most fabulous contribution to the entire regime of the rights. But unfortunately, global human rights regime is based on rights. If you will look into the letters which Gandhi wrote to UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, when they were making it in 1948, they sought opinion of different big personalities, and they consulted Gandhi. Gandhi very explicitly wrote that you have to make duty as the bedrock of human rights. In due process of time, because of Western influence, right became the basis of international regime of human rights. Today, after 70 plus years of the compliance of that particular regime, it has been utterly failed, and it has been utterly used as a football of self-interest by this country or that country, and real human rights still need to be taken care of, and it is only possible once its basic will be duty, because once duty, one person duty is another person right, and another person right is another person duty. So this delicate balance is very much described by Indian sages. I am not a philosopher. What I understand about the debate of dharma in Kali Yuga and in Satyuga, what is relevant, I agree with Professor Bhatt. He was outlining in the afternoon debate that there are certain positive things in Kali Yuga, and we should converge with those good things, and we will insert it into our cultural moorings, and then we can showcase it globally. Here is a fault line which I can understand with Professor Bhatt concern. We have many round of conversation, and I can outline his concern that the way Indian cultural moorings could have been showcased into the entire global system, which has not taken place even today, despite all those noble efforts. World is very much needed this kind Indian cultural support to make the thing very good, peaceful. Presently, we are confronting bloodshed in every part of the globe, be it Afghanistan or Syria or many other parts of the globe. So Indian values are very much important to bring peace and a kind of sustainable peace and a real respect of humanity, where India has to play a serious role. India has upgraded that role in a maximum way since last few years, particularly after the end of the Cold War. Since last 30 years, India has upgraded its effort as a soft power diplomacy, but till date, it has not been taken adequate step to fulfill the vacuum which the global civilizations are lacking with. It's because global civilizations are very much in clashing mode at the international level. And here Swami Vivekananda is apt when he says that all religions are going towards the same sea. It is a kind of wage, and final goal is same. So that in the Hindu religion, Hindu cultural and civilizational values need is to the global humanity, and bring an end to all kind of disorder, all kind of violence which is prevailing right now in many parts of the globe. The kind of military competition is very severe for the humanity, and it is going to be terse in coming weeks, coming days, coming months, coming years. According to CIPRI, 2019 year, world has spent $2 trillion on defense. $2 trillion. Part of that particular $500 billion at $2 trillion is 20 equal to 20 times annual GDP of Nepal, or 8 times annual GDP of Pakistan. If 30% of that amount could have been diverted towards global health expenditure, it could have been provided much better health care to all. If 20% of that amount could have been diverted towards global education, then it could have been provided education to all. Till date, 50 crore is younger boys lower than 14 years are dropouts across the globe, particularly in Africa and parts of Asia. It is very, very bad situation, because overall human resources we are not producing, and that particular lot is very vulnerable for violence, and different groups are drawing them into the violence. So that we have to deliberate how we can bring all civilizational values together to morally impress upon the important countries to divert those important resources towards the very basic needs of the human being, which is still unmet. Last point of my small presentation is that within the Hinduism, we have to look into the problems. Still some problems are very much prevailing within the Hinduism. What Vivekananda had told, that you can serve the Narayan through Daridra Narayan, that particularly has not been taken up properly by Hindu society, because 20 crore people are still below the poverty line in India, and everybody is looking towards the government, and there is hardly any charity which can take care of the need of the people who are really have-nots by all counts. So that is badly required, and it is not a kind of law which is required for that. Moral moorings is very much required, and that is dharma. That is dharma which preaches us that we have to at least take care of the sum of the needy people whom we know individually. At least we should do. And I think Hindu community is far backward in this particular domain, and in philanthropy, Christians, Muslims, Jains, Buddhists are far ahead than us. So we have to introspect how we can do that. Many people are doing it, but it is not adequate given the enormity of the problem, or given the wealth possessed by Hindu capitalists or Hindu middle class or Hindu upper class, and the quantum of poverty within Hindu community. So we have to look into this. I mean, this is one of the most important challenges. I will end with the conclusion that global scenario is very much positive for Hinduism. Hindu values, civilizational virtues are well much across the globe. Yoga and all other things are now well accepted across the globe. Cardiovascular disease is growing in Europe and America. Why America and Europe lost 70% of the casualty within Corona? Because their lifestyle is very bad. They need to revisit the Indian lifestyle, which is very much scientific. Therefore, we have prevented lot of deaths, and this has to be transcended towards the entire globe that lifestyle need to be changed. It is very bad in major parts of the globe, which needs to be taken care of. And I think Hinduism has to act here also. So I will conclude that Hinduism needs introspection and continuity, the part of many living beings and particularly religions, and Hinduism believe in continuity with changes, because with continuity changes are required, and Hinduism is very open right from the day one for those changes, and we have to introspect what kind of changes we need and what kind of contribution Hinduism has to make to bring global peace. Given the prevailing anarchic situation of the globe, I think right from Dharma concept to Swami Vivekananda's sermons, many sages are relevant here. Bhagavad Gita and many sloka or Vedas are also apt here. But the question is how to act. And here we need to be proactive, and governmental machineries are working on their own. But we individual, we the custodian of the civil society need to work in a very passionate manner, and I think it is set to yield adequate results. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Sudarji. Thank you very much. You have rightly pointed out that the dutifulness is a backdrop of human rights, because without this is a very essential part of Dharma, the dutifulness. So one's duty towards his soul, fellow beings, nature, cosmos. So once this duty is realized, one's obligation is realized, we can get rid of, we can do away with the most of the evils, as you suggested in its practical application, the dichotomy between Dharma and the present way of life, violence, wars, sectarian interests, and grabbing and greed, everything. The whole world is infested with all these evils. We may say that it is part of Kali Yuga, but as we said, Kali Yuga has got its brighter, aspects, levels. Therefore, here people are to be guided, people are to be properly guided, people are to be made properly aware of the content, the richness of our tradition, and it is what is required urgently in all spheres of life, because in such a way the whole society is being infested by all these evils. So therefore your presentation was very excellent. We are thankful to you, Sudhir Kumarji. Thankful to you, Sudhir Kumarji. So now we are 1 hour ahead, and we had to start our panel discussion at 8:35. But now I think we can take up this panel discussion, because however we have put it in our agenda, and I hope Professor Balram Singh is present. Professor Balram Singh. Professor Balram Singh, are you present?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah. So we shall start. Others are also present, I hope. So the moderator of this panel discussion is Professor S.R. Bhatt. The theme of the panel discussion is YUGADHARMA and present Hindu religion, religious faith, traditions, practices, and worship systems revisited. Though we are unable to take up all these elements altogether, all these variables altogether, Professor Bhatt sir can decide on which aspect we should focus on in this, a very short time period for our deliberation, our panel discussion, and how much time we can sit together. First of all, you decide the time frame, because is it possible to 1 hour for all of us to be here? If we can be 1 hour, then we can divide the 1 hour. You can give 5 minutes like that to all. Then after that, distribute timing. It is left to you.
Yeah, we can have 2-3 rounds. Later,
some people make presentation, let others also comment or make their presentations. Then second round. So it's a sort of a round table that will be helpful, and we can concentrate on as to what has gone wrong in Indian tradition or Hindu tradition, why it has gone wrong, and what are the remedial measures so that we can restore our past glory. So what has gone wrong, we can start with that, and then causes and remedial measures. So who will initiate?
Professor Balram Singh?
I'm happy to. I'm still struggling right now with my camera. So I guess I want to become a philosopher where we don't have to have any experiment. You can't see me, so I can say whatever I want to say. So if that is okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, please.
Because my camera was working for some reason, it's not working.
It's all right. Make a few amendments, and then other scholars will respond to that.
Okay. So, as Professor Bhatt mentioned, as Professor Bhatt mentioned, I think we should try to address as to what may have gone wrong. In my opinion, it is a nature of this problem that needs to be understood. It is the nature of this problem where the knowledge in dharma is, as Professor Bhatt also mentioned, and others, Professor Dr. Santa was mentioning, this knowledge comes from Lord Vasudeva or Bhagwan Krishna or Bhagwan Vishnu, whatever, it comes in a state of mind that is difficult to describe. And since everybody is not able to get the same state of mind, it must be described because there is no other way. So even we are having this conference where we have obviously variety of views, all perhaps valid, at least to the person who is presenting, but it is a question of then describing it to the others. And from others' point of view, it becomes difficult to understand. So what I would like to say is the question of translation. And for that, I would like to indulge into my introduction is given. Normally, I'm from the US and I have this institute and I've been professor and but I'm actually from a village in India. So that I can claim a little bit of knowledge of India also. So I will tell you a simple story. In the village, people are very wise and sometimes they ponder over some of these things that we are debating today here in the virtual world. And one of them they were wondering is there was a bird which was saying something, bird was basically cooing and people were wondering as to what is this bird saying. The bird is, what is this chirp mean? Because they think in the villages, they go by the animal's behavior. And so they saw a businessman who used to hawker. He used to go around the villages and, buy some items to make a business. So they asked him, what is this bird saying? Maybe you would go to all over the places, maybe you know. And the businessman, and I have to say in Hindi, I'm sorry, Dr. Gopinath, hopefully you will forgive me, is because it's a village thing. So it says, the Baniya says that the bird is saying, Haldi Mircha Adrak. Haldi Mircha Adrak. The bird is saying Haldi Mircha Adrak, which translates into turmeric and chili powder and ginger. So then they said, okay. And then there is a wrestler coming early in the morning, after his wrestling session, he was coming. He said, well, this guy goes around all over the places and in the jungles and gardens. Maybe he knows. So they asked him, what do you think this bird is saying? He said, the bird is saying, Dand Mugdar Kasrat, which means basically you practice all your physical exercise. So he says, Dand Mugdar Kasrat. He's saying Dand Mugdar Kasrat. And then, so they said, okay, two people, two opinion. And the third person was a Panditji Purohit who was coming, and he was knowledgeable. So he was always listening to him. They asked him, what do you think this bird is saying? And so Purohit looks at everybody, and he said, did you ask other people? Because he was a wise man. They said, yeah, we asked the businessman. He says, Haldi Mircha Adarak, and the wrestler guy says, Dand Mugdar Kasrat. So we thought we'll ask you. He said, the bird is saying, Apna Apna Matlab. Is basically whatever you feel like is whatever it is the bird is saying. So I think that Professor Bhatt, I think that is how I would conclude at least the first round, to say the problem is in this translation. How there is one truth somewhere, but when it needs to be described to others at various stages, whether you want to explain based on karma, based on the transcendental information or whatever, everybody is different. We know that the whole world, entire world is physically different, mentally different, karmically different, adhyatmically different. So then it becomes a problem of translation. So I think the problem is that of translation.
Thank you. See, in the present phenomenal world, we do feel that all is not well. Something has gone wrong. There was a time when Indian culture was regarded as something of sublime, something to be emulated. And that's why the Rishi of Yajurveda proudly remarked, Sa Prathama Sanskriti Vishwavara. Ours is the most ancient, most sublime culture to be emulated by all over the world. Now, what are the salient features which characterize our culture? Well, it is peaceful coexistence, mutual cooperation, reciprocal caring and sharing. This is what the Vedic rishis enjoined. But now, what is the situation? We don't have peaceful coexistence. We do have conflicts, and we have mutual accusation, mutual downgrading, hatred, jealousy, and so on and so forth. Well, we do not care for others. There is no reciprocal caring and sharing which we had. Well, I remember in a village when there would be a construction of a house, every villager will contribute something for that construction. So it was a cooperative enterprise. If there was a marriage, every household of that village would contribute for that marriage. This has been my personal experience. I also come from a small village, but now villagers don't care for each other or one another. Something terribly has gone wrong. Instead of earlier, we used to talk of sarvam, sarve bhavantu sukhina, but now we only talk of aham, myself, my person, my family, my society, my religion, my cult, and so forth. This idea of mind, well, is dominating our. So there has been perversion all around, and because of that, we have all this. We blame Kali Yuga. We say, "Oh, this is Kali Yuga." But no, we have to blame ourselves.
Right, right. Yeah.
May I?
And therefore,
Let me,
we have
yeah. Let me make an observation before going to Swamiji.
yeah,
May I add
as,
something?
yeah, please.
I will come to you. We will come to you. Let me make an observation before coming to you for bridging.
Yeah.
So, as Professor Balram Singh has rightly pointed out, for those who are groomed in the background of science, scientific objectivity, etc., etc., it is very right. Because when we say that this knowledge system emanates from some transcendental sources, because we are attributing everything to transcendental sources. Therefore, for a scientist, that language is it is difficult to, understand or assimilate that view, and that is why. So they are trying to give a new scientific interpretation to our ancient wisdom, because to make it more objective. Therefore, we cannot find the fault with their point of views. But our subject or thing, what is more mattered, apart from focusing on the source, whether it comes from transcendental plane or from other sources, this knowledge has got some very fundamental wisdom which unites us together. From there we can start. We need not to contest upon those planes from where it originated, but it has given us a footing from where we can look at things as Professor Butts rightly pointed out. We have, because when coming to practical things, it's a social level, individual level, we find that there are problems in our society and in our culture, social life, cultural life, economic life, everywhere there are problems. So how this Vedic wisdom, great wisdom, can be utilized in addressing these practical issues or agonies of humanity should be our concern. But at a different level, scientist, philosopher will have their duties. It is all right. Let them to have it. Same time, they have a dutifulness towards addressing these problems. There we have to have a benchmark in our approach to all these things. It is my humble opinion to begin with, then Swamiji can supplement. Then we will go to our Murthy sir, Professor Murthy, and Janardana Menon, etc. Yeah, please, Swamiji.
Thank you, Dr. Balram Singh ji, for raising very nice, important point. Actually, it is being told that every individual, if you see when they are attending, a teacher is teaching in a classroom, so many students are there. What teacher is teaching, all the students don't receive that knowledge same way. So it is also described when Lord was giving the Vedic knowledge to Brahma, the way Lord was delivering it and the way Brahma received, there was some difference actually. And Brahma, when given that Vedic knowledge to his students, there was some difference in the transmission and receiving. And thus the jungle of religion that is being manifested, that we are witnessing around. In the mid of this jungle of religion, it is being told that a tree is there, and he wants to nourish the tree by giving some water to the leaf or flower or fruit or stem, but you are not trying to water the root. So the essence of all the Vedic teaching is source the root, serve the root. Jasmin gyate sarva vigyatam bhavati. By knowing whom, everything is known. By serving whom, everything is served. So that principle was being taught in the ancient time and given emphasis instead of diverting so much of attention. Yes, there can be, like Daksha Prajapati told, the word the, and the three different conscious people, they understood it differently. Demigods, they understood the meaning of word the means Daman. And human, they understood the meaning of the word the means something like Dan.
and demons, they understood it as, daya, mercy. So Daksha Prajapati told, all three of you are correct because according to your consciousness, what you have understood is correct. But Daksha Prajapati has some higher understanding of what he meant by that. So similar way, the sound that is received to the different individual, even in Vrindavan, if you see Krishna is playing the flute, all devotees, they understand the meaning of that flute very differently according to their development. Even when Krishna went to Mathura, and all this assembly of Kansa, these all different individuals, the aged women seen Krishna, same Krishna as his son, and the young ladies, they seen him as his husband or boyfriend, and the young boys, they seen as friend. So according to our consciousness, we see things. So there are two types of things that is being explained in Hegel also. There is objective consciousness and subjective consciousness. Subjective consciousness means every subject wants to understand the object from his subjectivity or his consciousness. But there is an objective consciousness, means there is a true reality which is true for all the subjects.
Now, let us concentrate on existential problems.
That's what I'm saying. Existential problem is that the dharma's interpretation we are giving from various subjective point of view. But what is the point of view of the absolute? How to go to that point?
Now, for example, violence is there.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what is the nature of violence and why it has occurred?
Jiva jivasya jivanam. Jiva jivasya jivanam
This is
means
not
to live.
this is not an acceptable solution. Because violence will lead to
Jiva jivasya jivanam, to live, you have to eat something. You are already doing some violence. You are killing a living entity. How to solve that problem? The root is that you have to know how to live a life centered around God. That is told in Bhagavatam. You are eating the rice. That itself is a violence. Because for you it is good, for rice it is bad. How to overcome that papanna bhakshan? That means the sinful eating of rice. And Krishna says you have to learn how to use that rice for my service and take Mahaprasad. How to use everything in the service of the Lord. That we are forgetting. And we are going around, trying to make different moralities independent of God. That will not solve this problem, actually. That will only increase it.
No, but an atheist will not believe in your statement or your...
Of course, everybody cannot believe. That there is a scope for everybody to have their opinion.
But then you don't have any solution.
The solution is there. You see, at the time of Mahabharata or even Treta Yuga, other yugas, everybody not come to the same page. That will not happen.
So
there is unity in diversity.
So Professor Murthy sir, but sir, Professor Murthy sir wants to contribute.
Yeah, please. Let him speak.
Professor Murthy sir, Professor Murthy. Hello, Professor Murthy.
I think he has left.
No, he's in a train. He's traveling.
He is there, I can see. But I think he cannot able to speak.
He's traveling.
He has not left, leaving.
No, because while train moves, sometimes the connectivity is... Murthy sir, can you contribute? Hello? Murthy sir. Professor Murthy?
People say, as they say, the train has left. So, well, maybe I can, if you don't mind, maybe make a comment on some of the... First of all, I think this dichotomy, as Professor Bhatt said, is not as good, and as Dr. Santa also said, we need to understand each other. And for Dr. Santa is absolutely correct what he's saying. But I think Professor Bhatt's question is very different. Is for everybody, what can he say other than that you can believe in God and the God will solve the problem? I think we need to think about what exactly the violence is. The violence, the English, I only spoke about the translation of ideas, but there is a huge problem in translation of the language, and that is the next level of problem. Violence is not ahimsa. The hinsa is not violence. Violence is very different origin. Non-violence is not ahimsa, because the ahimsa parmo dharma is said by Yudhishthir. Dharmaraj Yudhishthir is saying I don't remember the whole sloka, but it is, he says ahimsa paramo dharma, but everybody knows he had the spear in his hand and he killed many people. So it cannot be meaning the same thing as we think that violence means, what violence means. So there are certain things which will happen which are natural. If the rice is not eaten, rice is still going to perish, irrespective of whether you eat it or not. So, but it will meet its own full potential. The same way, I think everybody should have full potential. If we say that everybody should allow to achieve their full potential, I think that can be protected, but it cannot be protected that everybody will be there forever. So I think we need to, and this is a greatness. I think I heard many of you say that India has this, and India was a light, a light of wisdom that everybody used to look up to as to what has gone wrong. I think the original question is that we do not practice. We need to practice. Dr. Santa is doing absolutely the correct thing in his practice, what he's doing. But he has to realize that the rest of the world is not in that, the rest of India is not in there, the rest of the Hindus are not there. How to translate what some of the things he's saying is to ordinary person. And that you need to practice in the violence, how to define that violence. If we define the violence, we are eating rice, and the violence is not getting anywhere. So we rice here is.
Can I clarify it a bit? This one.
Let me just complete. Then you can say whatever you want to say. I am saying that there is a theory in our Panchakosa system where Annamay Kos, Pranamay Kos, Manomay Kos, Jnanamay Kos, and then ultimately Anandamay Kos. It's a journey. So rice can be taken in that journey, and then it's not a violence. But that is not the case when somebody gets killed somewhere on the way because somebody is going to go somewhere. Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, rice also has a soul, right? So every living entity, there is a soul. And we have to think what is the ultimate good that we can do for that soul. So rice, when it is offered as bhoga to the Lord, then that soul will get some upliftment. It is being described in the scriptures. But when you eat the rice, then you will subject to karma, and you are also subject to be exploited by that soul, will take another form, and that will exploit your next life. So you are subjected to karma by not offering that food to the Lord, because that rice you not created. That is not your property. You are assuming that it is for your use. Whose property is that? Everything belongs to Lord. And if you learn how to use Lord's thing in His service, then that is the perfection of life. That may be science, that may be poetry, that may be war, anything that can be. You have to learn the culture of using everything for glorifying and serving the Lord. Because we have an origin, like the nose or eye or hand, they are not existing without any purpose. What is the purpose things exist? From where they exist, came from, originated from, and what for they exist. That we are forgetting. Origin and purpose. If you miss that, then the whole discussion of dharma does not come into a right direction. What is the origin? From where things originated and what for they exist?
Dr. Santa,
yes.
Let us first start with this. Are there problems or not in Hindu society?
Of course, I have one problem immediately I can say. The word Hindu itself is a foreign, actually. Hindu is not the word.
Swamiji, we use that word to refer, not to conceptualize it in that way. We always use it to refer. Whatever you have in your mind, we use it to refer to certain.
I used your existential problem, not conceptual problem.
Sir, Janardana Menon wants to contribute. Janardana Menon wants to join the discussion.
Well, good evening to everybody. My gratitude may be registered for all, one and all, for including me. And I will start from where the others have left. You see, once when you say where the food comes from and what it is, and what is a suggestion we are going to give to the common man. an ordinary man, a layman, how is he going to contribute? This kind of knowledge, if wasn't there in the scriptures or anything, or if it is not there, where from did you get it? Everyone talks about it. Everyone talks about expresses his ideas in accordance with this vasana. The vasana-based the transmission of his ideas are they are not useful, and that person should be made to seek the advice of a person who has no vasana. That was a Guru Sishya Parampara. The Guru, as we have already spoken, a lot of scholars have spoken about the Gurus, and the Gurus who has not had any vasana, that much of a thing, Swami rightly pointed out about Krishna. Krishna, of course, hasn't got it. So what is the thing? So my Guru says, I will only quote him because I don't know much about this. To argue with the scholars, I am not fit. My Guru said, when you are to say, there is when a lot of children, they come and sit. I used to bring the visitors for them to see how the children eat there. Let the people understand. So one joint secretary came from government of India. When he came and sat, I saw the children. First they prayed. And the Swami said about it, when they prayed, and then they took the food. And then afterwards, this kind of a thing was made known. So see, after all, when you take that thing, when you offer it to the Lord, you don't make a Mahaprasad and give it. When you sit down on your floor, in front of your plate, and think of Lord. And I've seen other great rishis and all, they take one morsel of food and keep it away. And my Guru taught me and my family that when you are cooking the food, take one handful of food and keep it away. That is the dhanam. It is for me. That is for Guru. He said, after everything, you bring all these things and give me. We will feed the people who are coming. Individually, what you are, Swami, what you are doing it, as they saying this becomes a right thing or a wrong thing. And the right thing and wrong thing gets you Papa Punya as you know about it. So when you give it to Lord, that is that right and wrong thing is absorbed by him. You know more about this thing since you are a Vaishnavite and a devotee of Krishna. You know more about it than I do. So those things, these things were taught by me, taught by the Guru to me. And did we ever think of this thing? What did we do to our Gurus? We had them sent to jungles, and we had other people masquerading as Gurus that by the name of caste and religion, they came and sat down. Is it not the problem? Is it not the root cause which created all this, which is the master this thing of a problem? That kind of a thing where the right person, right Guru, has to be elevated, and then when we seek our advices, a person who's supposed to give the advice, and that right person, we have left him and brought about wrong persons and made them to talk about it. Will you, if I'm wrong about it, kindly come and correct me.
And but sir, Shashumar sir also can join us.
Yeah.
Sir?
Let him.
Shashumar sir. Shashumar sir.
Achha. See, within Hinduism, there are problems with regard to individual life, family life, social life, and we are troubled by these problems. See, now, if Hinduism is to be reformed, then these problems need to be solved. Say, for example, historically speaking, Sati Pratha was a problem in Hindu society, and it was eradicated. That was a very wonderful reformation in Hindu society. Casteism is a problem in Hindu society. Now, instead of getting reduced, now we have more and more of casteism because of these political considerations. Well, how to get rid of this? This is a problem which we have to suffer from. Poverty is there in many Hindu families. People are hand to mouth. This is a problem. How to do that? Well, of course, we have dana as a remedial measure, but how to exercise that dana? This is, well, for example, we have a langar in Sikhism. Well, that's a solution that they have offered. Well, why should not Hindu saints also start this process of langar? Well, this is a solution we have to put forth. See, you have children uneducated, in particularly the laborers. They are working in the field or in construction of house or working in a factory, and their children are just loitering on the street, half fed, half clothed. This is a problem in Hindu society. Well, we blame Christianity for conversion. We blame Islam for conversion. But why should we not look at our own home? Why there should be this sort of deprivation? This is a problem in Hindu society. We have to tackle this problem. Why should not there be charitable institutions? Why should there not be educational institutions where these children are given free education, free food, etc.? Government does something, but it is mostly on paper. Corruption is there. Corruption is there in Hindu society and also in other societies, but particularly in Hindu societies. How can we get rid of this element? This is a problem to be discussed. There are many such concrete problems, not theoretical, not abstract. Time has gone for such consideration at the conceptual level. Now we have to come to the ground level. Vivekananda never talked of abstract problems. He always talked of concrete problems of health. And he established the hospitals, concrete problem of education, and established educational institutions. So we have therefore to attend to the concrete problems which the Hindu society is facing, and how we can help ourselves. We call ourselves as Hindus. So, well, how can we help in getting rid of these problems? Well, this is what is needed these days.
Now, can I give some suggestion? Is possible?
Yeah.
So let us take point by point. One point is this caste system, which is mostly discussed and widely discussed. Actually, if you are saying there is no necessity of conceptual understanding of things, then how can you ever eliminate people to overcome this casteism? Because that is a concept that they have developed. Caste is a concept that individuals have developed based on birth. But actually, in Bhagavad Gita, if you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, "You are not this body, you are soul." Then where is the concept of caste is coming in?
No. That is there. But people do not understand it. You have to adopt some concrete measure to get rid of
So I am saying, what is that concrete? Concrete is the body, or concrete is the soul?
Oh, that is not abstract thing.
It is not abstract thing. It is a real thing. Your body is temporary. It is changing from childhood to the old age.
We should have a system of education.
It is not concrete. It is changing.
Concrete thing is education. You have to tell them that.
Yes. And as far as food and education is concerned, I don't think there are organizations.
Which will not help. Referring to Purush Sukta will not help. You have to tell them in concrete way that
education. Let me tell you, as far as education and food is concerned, there are organizations, spiritual organizations. As far as I can say, Mahaprabhu's line, every day they are distributing the temples. Thousands of people in the temple, they are taking free prasadam. They are offering prasadam.
That is a
thousands of old people they are taking, poor people they are taking prasadam, children taking prasadam. That is not a problem as far as prasadam food distribution is concerned. And we have also free hospitals. This organization made, and other Ramakrishna Mission and other religious organizations, they have also made some organization for free treatment. Sai Baba has made organizations for treatment of different people. So they are trying, as far as medical facility is concerned, food is concerned, that is done. But conceptual training is also essential, which in schools and colleges we are getting education that we came from monkeys. You are nothing but atoms and molecules. This conceptual problem is leading to a degradation of the society.
Swamiji, may make an observation.
Yes.
It is to, but these services, unless and until they are empowered economically, culturally, this cannot be resolved permanently. These services, giving food to thousands, 10,000s like that, it is not at all a solution. But as Professor Bhatt has rightly pointed out, this caste system is the most fundamental issue that keeps the society declined and divided, that keep the society away from uniting emotionally, mentally, and put their strength together and emancipating themselves. But as you said, we have to conceptualize how to resolve it. But at the same time, we have to have concrete programs. But I am not going to other dimensions because we have another level of knowledge in Shandagiri. I am not going at present. But from the discussions we have had the whole day, 2 days, I can just, this Vedic wisdom, for example, Vedic wisdom is not a textual wisdom. We all know that. It is not a text. This Vedic wisdom, if we can make it as a reference point to address all these evils, for example, caste, we all agreed that there is no mention of caste in Vedas or Upanishads, or it is against God. It is against God. So there are, Swamiji also illustrated, our Balram Singh ji also, but there are quotes and immense quotes in all the fundamental texts. But these are all veiled. So at least make it as a benchmark, these wisdom, and ask our administrators, rulers, religious leaders. Then this is to be made a part of education, that because it is against God and it is against true spirituality and Indianness or Indian culture if some people claim that they are Brahmins, this and that way enjoying privileges and hegemony like that. This has been there over thousands of years. So this make it as a campaign. They are isolated. We are all islands. Samji is an island, others are island, myself an island. Therefore, whereas look at Christianity, Islam, there is unity, mental unity, emotional unity, spiritual unity. That spiritual unity make Christianity and Islam great, because they all are not putting their faith and this or small this. Because transcending that, they all pray only one universal God. So this prayer has that much immense potential, whereas the whole Hindu people pray or believe small this, and mentally, spiritually, they are divided there itself, because as Krishna said, whomever you pray, whomever you put faith, your soul, after your death, the soul will go into that force, at the level of that force. But since there are interpolations in Bhagavad Gita, because a right understanding of Bhagavad Gita also is not possible, because in the original Bhagavad Gita, where there had 300 slokas, now there is more than 700 or 600 slokas. That way everything is polluted. But certain fundamental things we can take up some benchmark, because this has how to, even Hindu sects, Hindu spiritual traditions, they are all at different levels. Vaishnavas there, Shaivas there, Shaktas there, they all claim that they all are superior. But in Kali Yuga, as you all have quoted, only our Gautam Patelji rightly pointed out quoting Shastras. All other acharas, all over this in the past yugas are irrelevant. You only put your in the Mahanarayana mantra. No need of doing this daily, going to temple and doing that puja, this puja to demonic powers, this powers, that way. The whole consciousness of poor people are polluted. They don't know what is God or what is good. So that way, lot of evils are rampant.
Gopi, I give one example. We have a Narayana Guru. He reformed Hinduism, remaining within the fold of Hinduism. We have Narayan Smriti also. He's a Smritikara, and you are aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
on the other hand, we had, say, this Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ambedkar. He criticized rightly.
Can I speak for 1 minute?
Just a minute.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, Murthy sir, we will come to you, Murthy sir. We will come to you after Bhatt's observation.
He renounced Hinduism.
Yeah.
Narayan Guru did not renounce Hinduism.
Yeah. From within.
Whereas he renounced, and now the neo-Buddhists, they are terribly against Hinduism.
Yeah, definitely. Without understanding properly, they are against. That is right.
Therefore, we have to attend to the real problems which Hindus are facing. Mere this sort of religious sermonizing will not help.
No, that is what is proved historically. No religious sermonizing helped the Hindu society to get up. So let our Murthy sir, Balramji, you just make your final observation. You make.
Thank you very much. I know Professor Murthy is probably talking because he cannot hear us. But what I just wanted to say in practical terms, like Professor Bhatt asked for a very practical answer to, I think he identified some problems. One of them is caste, another is poverty. I just want to say that the caste was not a problem. There are 68,000 castes in India. 68,000. It actually represents more of a. It expresses more of a freedom. We were not poor. We were not poor up until 1750. We had the same Hindu, we had Muslims, we had whatever we were under foreign rule.
No.
We were not having poverty. And we were not having, I'm sorry, Professor Murthy, we have moved on a little bit. So, but good points you made. So I think that it is not like we don't talk about it, that is somehow going to be a solution. No, I think Professor Bhatt is very right. I think we need to talk about it, but we also need to realize the history. We were not like this. So there is something wrong with the system that we have, even though I know we love have the democracy or whatever, but this is not the Hindu system. It is not even dharmic system. If it were dharmic system, nobody will be having poverty. Dharmic system has very different ideas. I do not have, I have very limited time, so I do not want to delve into that idea. But I just certainly want to tell you that it isn't because the Muslims, not Christians or anything. It is our own system, governance system that we have today is a problem, where the cities and villages have been divided. India was a system of village, and it has been studied by world scientists. From Afghanistan to Bangladesh, from Madhya Pradesh to Nepal, that corridor has enough food to feed the whole world, entire world. So it is our problem, and I think the Hindu system needs to be asserted. Maybe another time I will talk about what I think can be done, but I think we should not feel desperate that somehow being a Hindu is going to be a problem. We cannot talk about caste, or we cannot talk about poverty. I think it is created by the system, not necessarily Hindu. I think Hindu system is not in, no matter what you say that.
Right. So, Gopinath, I have tomorrow, Gopinath, are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think my talk in morning session, you put it. Okay, anytime. Sometimes it is, my problem is...
You just send me a message.
Tomorrow will be nice.
You send me a message. Please
tomorrow.
send me a message. Now we will come to Swamiji and we will with Janardhan Menon, and then we will conclude. Please, Swamiji, you can put your views across. In 2 minutes.
I very much appreciate.
Please.
A sincere effort put forward by Professor Bhatt
Right.
and Gopinath ji and Balaram Singh ji. They recently organized a very wonderful conference, WAVES conference, and these all very noble efforts. All these individuals they're putting forward, and we have to all come together to understand how to bring out the Vedic wisdom in the form of a teaching. If you don't, people know their own, what is the Hindu system, what are the scriptures, who are the teachers, who are the acharyas, what are the wisdoms. If they don't understand, only the word Hindu we are using, but without understanding the teachings of that. Most of the people don't know even Bhagavad Gita, what it talks about, even Purana or whatever, how much they have studied. So what kind of system that we want to set up, so that people of Hindu background can come to know about their own tradition, their own acharyas or teachers and the teaching and all those things. Until unless we do that, I don't see the problem going to solve that. And I'm seeing, the people who are doing in that direction to educate people about the wisdom of, our ancient tradition, they are doing great work actually. And we have to appreciate that, and we have to move towards that. That's my, humble observation.
Menon sir, put in 2 minutes, sir.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Well, I'll agree with Swamiji about the conduct of the seminar, etc., webinar, etc. But I have a point to make. He was very much emphasizing that people were not knowing. Swamiji, I came to know about the spirituality. I came to know about this thing only in English. Can you believe? I came to know about Indian spirituality, Hindu system in English from Vivekananda, from Arvind Ghosh, etc. And that is the kind of system you are keeping, and you are crying over the things that things are not accessible to people. It is like keeping the well closed and then telling the other people that they are not taking bath. That is not the thing. That we will have to give them the thank God, as Bhatt Sahib has rightly pointed out. Sri Narayana Guru stayed in and set it right. Some people, Gandhi Foundation asked me, when some fathers came and asked me, did Gandhi promote that is change of religions, people to change religions? The other people said no. And then why? They were angry. And I asked them, sir, will you permit me to speak for a minute? I said, Gandhi was a courageous man. He was not a coward. He never said that is, since your house is bad or it is dirty, you don't run away to the other house. You clean your house. That was what he said. And that Sri Narayana Guru did. And he has, that is why we were attracted towards the system. And I am sitting here for the 40 years in this ashram, getting no remuneration, thinking that this problem will be solved by this. The solution is offered by this is correct. That is my conviction. And what is that? This is not the way to sell it. So I am not going to do about it. Anybody wants to know about it, we can discuss about it later.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No. So,
No,
sir,
I think
since we are closing, and we will have this discussion on another platform, and we have, because generally nobody in not platforms we come across such discussions on practical things. We discourse on philosophical things, intellectually, scholarly. This is the solution. That is the solution. Sitting in our rooms like that. Apart from that, if we can bring down this discussion to such a level, let us have this dialogue between different perspectives. Then only some useful things can be carved out, brought out. So, Shashumar sir, yeah.
Yeah, Gopinath ji, many people think that Bhagavad Gita is the end of the world. After that Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna and Arjuna had a dialogue, which is made as Uttara Gita, in which Krishna specifically says, Ananda Shastram Bahu Veditavyam Alpascha Kale Bahuvascha Vigno. There are a lot of knowledge, but you don't require all this to live practically. What is required for you to live in this world has to be concentrated. Alpascha Kale Bahuvascha Vigno. There are a lot of problems. Practical problems in the world is living is what S.R. Bhattji is talking. I think the concentration is there, but there are solutions. But instead of that, we look at somewhere else where maybe people, when they had everything, they start talking about this. That cannot be the solution for problems. So that is also there, but not probably in Bhagavad Gita. After that also people should read and understand. That's all I wanted to add.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay then.
But sir, you conclude when we can have again.
Now we may let us be realistic.
Yeah.
And should take up concrete problems one by one and solve them. It is high time that Hinduism needs reform, and these reforms should come from knowledgeable persons, those who can know the causes for the deformities and how those deformities can be removed. So this is what is needed. It should not be that we should be andhena niyamana and the blind people leading the blind. We have only knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrish